Hey, Andy here from builderhottub.com. In this video, we're going to look at how we go from a hole in the ground to a beautiful mosaic tiled hot tub. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so I absolutely love this industry and the really random things that come across my desk every day. So this is one of them. This actually arrived today and I was short of ideas this week for what to put out on the YouTube channel. So this one just seemed absolutely perfect. Not only is it going to help hopefully have a new customer for me, but also it will help all of you guys out there that are thinking about converting spaces or holes that you have already in place into a DIY hot tub. So how are we going to do it? Well, you can see from the picture behind me, this is what I'll call it a potential customer has sent me, and what he wants to do is actually convert this into a hot tub. Now, what I would say is this isn't the ideal way of going about things. Normally you would have the plumbing or some of the plumbing in place before you kind of concrete it all the way around. However, if you're removing an existing hot tub, for example, or you're looking to maybe convert a pond, believe it or not, I get quite a few of those requests, then this is what you're going to have in place. You're going to have basically a hole, and there are a few things that we need to do to actually get that from being that hole to the image that you can see here, which is the other image or the inspirational image that the potential customer has sent me that he wants to actually end up with. Now, it's totally possible and I can certainly help him do it. And on this video, I'll just look at some of the steps and the stages that we actually need to go through to actually do that. So the first thing that I've done is, as you can see behind me here, I've actually mocked this up into 3D CAD, and it's a bit easier to explain that way. So at the moment, it's just a hole in the ground and it's the actual dimensions that the potential customer has sent me. And the first thing that you will think about, or certainly you should think about if you have watched this channel, and if you haven't already, then please subscribe. It's a great opportunity for me to get that in. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions, and of course give me a like if you are liking what you are watching. Now, that hole in the ground literally is a hole in the ground. Now, the potential customer has told me that he's already run power to close by. However, there's been no consideration at the moment for the actual control room. And I speak a lot on this channel about the control room and the position of the control room and how important it is. So what we need to do on this particular project is we've got to create space for a control room. So what I've done on the 3D CAD, as you can see here, is I've dropped in the size of the control room that you actually need, and that is relative to the size of the hole that's been created. And roughly you need 1 meter by 1 meter and about 75 centimeters. Converting that into imperial, it's about 3'6" by 3'6", and it's just over a foot in height that you actually need. The foot in height is to get the filter in there. So as you can see, I've made the hole for the actual control room, and I've also dropped down an area for the pipe to go through, because what you've got to do is you've got to be able to get the pipe from the control room into that existing hole. Okay, so he's going to have to core some holes in his block, drop those pipes through to get them into the actual hole that he already has. What's the next stage? Well, the next stage is he's then going to put his plumbing in place. Now, the plumbing will of course be the gunite bodies that I talk about a lot on this channel, and in this case it's actually going to be the flexible pipe. Now, if you remember, flexible pipe isn't that flexible, but we can actually warm it up. You know, hot water is a great way of doing it, and to make it a bit more malleable and a bit easier to actually use. On a cylindrical hot tub build like this, you've got no choice. You're going to have to use the flexible pipe. So I do have a video on how to make flexible pipe more useful, and I'll put a link to that in the comments below. So all of the plumbing needs to sit in what's going to be a new cavity. Now, the practical side of this is you're going to have to put the lower suction or inward suction drains in first before you actually build up the wall. But what I've done on the CAD behind me is actually mock up what the cavity is going to look like. Now, the cavity, you need around 20 centimeters, which I did get wrong on one of the videos when I converted it. It's actually 8 inches. So you need 20 centimeters or 8 inches, and that's so you can get the gunite body in place. This is a gunite body, and this is what is going to be housed in that cavity. Okay, so you're going to have your air pipe on top, you're going to have your water pipe underneath, and it's going to go round that cylindrical hot tub, but you've got to house this in the cavity that you're going to create. So at the moment, we've got that exterior wall, and on that render behind me, you can see the interior wall. Inside of that is where all of the plumbing fixtures need to be placed, the arrangement of which is really up to the customer, and whether they want to have any jets lowered down on the seats or just on the back of the seats. It's easy enough to do. The difficult bit, if you like, is getting the plumbing in there originally from the control room. Now, the control room, I always stress, should be below the waterline. Hot tub pumps or centrifugal pumps, they're not self-priming, so they must be below the waterline, which is why I always like to drop those control rooms down, as you can see. The next thing we're going to need to do, at the moment, that hole, if you remember, so you can see that behind me, this is the existing hole. That hole is level with the concrete or area outside. Now, we're going to have to take that up. I would recommend around 10 centimeters, which is 4 inches. And that's enough that you're not going to get any dirty water ingress or surface water kind of flowing into your hot tub. So at the moment it's level, so he's going to need to go probably half a course up, and that will be enough to keep that dirty water out. It also brings it up to that perfect height for the hot tub. Now, at the moment, I'm hugely into air source heat pumps. With the cost of electricity as it is, it's continuing to rise. Running hot tubs purely on electric is becoming increasingly challenging. So for this build, I am going to recommend an air source heat pump. So we need to think about the position. We also need to think about the piping. So what I've done on the render behind me is I've actually put in a channel where the air source heat pump piping is actually going to go. Now, with an air source, you do need airflow around the unit. It should be reasonably close to your hot tub. It doesn't need to be right next to it, but it does need to be reasonably close. The further away, then the more strain there is on the pump, so you need a larger circulation pump. But more importantly, the further away it is, the more chance of heat loss through those pipes, so the inefficiencies of actually heating it up creep in. So as you can see on the render, I'm putting in a channel for the pipes so that they can be not only underground and out the way, so aesthetically it will look a lot nicer as well, but you will get the benefit of the efficiencies of air source heating rather than electric on this build. So how do we go from a dual skin cavity to an actual finished tub? Well, those steps are pretty straightforward. I'm not going to delve into masses of detail on this video. I'll rush over them very quickly now. So what we're going to do is, once the plumbing's in place, we're going to skim the interior wall with a waterproof render. We're then going to fill the cavity. Firstly, we're going to put in some insulation around the pipes, and then we're going to fill the gaps with rebar. In this case, the rebar isn't really needed because you've got that exterior sort of concrete holding all of that together. So you could do away with the rebar and actually just fill the cavity with insulation and concrete. Then we are going to seal the interior surface. We'll use a chemical sealant for that, something that you can pick up in any good DIY store. Really, really simple. On top of that, we're then going to use a swimming pool grade adhesive and grout. They can be the same product, but it must be swimming pool grade, so it's going to be underwater all the time. You can't use wet room or bathroom because eventually those tiles will come off. So it must be a swimming pool grade grout. And to that, we can then apply those beautiful mosaic tiles, and that will give the customer the look that he is wanting to achieve. So pretty straightforward. We've gone from a hole to a beautiful mosaic tiled hot tub in around about 5 minutes, I think. So hopefully the potential customer will find this video useful, and hopefully you have as well if you're trying to convert a hole that you have on your property into a hot tub. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I hope you found this video useful, and of course I will see you on the next video. If you've liked this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video.